intense today. Maybe not our best performance, but we battled hard.
Move over 500. The Islanders in Brooklyn saw their 10-game winning streak come to an end despite a 3-0 third-period lead. Pittsburgh rallied to win 4-3 in overtime over Barry Trotz's Isles.
We've held a lot of leads over the last 2 years, but we didn't stay. You have someone down, you got to stay on them, and we got passive, and we didn't. They had to push. They had to push against Boston. They came roaring back. So bad on us.
Devils lost 5-2 in Calgary. College basketball, Rutgers escaped 2-point season opening win over Bryant. DJ LeMahieu named to the Silver Slugger team for offensive prowess, named as an infielder, played 3 of the 4 positions. In other Yankee news, they named 33-year-old Matt Blake their new pitching coach, a job that Yankee broadcaster David Cohn reportedly interviewed for. The Raiders are enjoying their last season in Oakland. After 4 wins all of last season, they're 5-4 this year. They scored late. They beat the Chargers 26-24. Rosters named for next month's President's Cup golf in Australia, and among the players picked by U.S. captain Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods. Just won a tournament in Japan. Phil Mickelson not picked. He'll miss a Ryder or President's Cup for the first time since 1992. For the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashow. Nathan?
All right, John, thank you. It's 5:37 on Wall Street. The latest edition of Bloomberg Business Week is on newsstands now, and the cover is on Bob Iger taking the gloves off for Disney's streaming debut. Also in this week's issue, our annual ranking of the world's best business schools. Joel Weber helped compile the list for Bloomberg Business Week.
We really tried to lean into the networks and the students and the alumni and actually start asking questions to them about their experiences. And that's what really makes this ranking be so definitive.
You can read more about this and other stories in this week's edition of Bloomberg Business Week on newsstands now and online at businessweek.com. Terminal customers can subscribe to the magazine at MAG Go, and you can listen to Business Week with Carol Massar and Jason Kelly weekdays at 2 p.m. Wall Street time here on Bloomberg Radio. 5:38 on Wall Street time now for the Tri-State Business Report with Bloomberg's John Metaxas. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Nathan. A New York City official who earned millions of dollars collecting debts for predatory lenders has agreed to resign. The city's Department of Investigation said City Marshal Vadim Barbarovich violated debt collection rules and was untruthful with investigators. He collected fees of more than $3.5 million over the last 2 years, making him the top earner in all of city government. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont has released a 10-year, $21 billion transportation plan to improve the state's highways, bridges, and trains. It includes bridge tolls of up to $1 for cars. Vehicles with a Connecticut-issued transponder would receive a 20% discount on tolls. And NJ Transit is asking private industry to help transport millions of people every year to the newly opened mall in the Meadowlands. The cash-strapped railroad never built a crucial Meadowlands track loop and now says it's looking for firms that can partner on electric rail, a maglev train, or bus rapid transit. With the Bloomberg Tri-State Business Report, I'm John Metaxas. Nathan?
All right, John, thanks. It's 5:39 on Wall Street. Bloomberg Radio is on the air from San Francisco to New York, London to Hong Kong. Let's check in with our global news team now for some of the top stories heard on our 300 affiliate radio stations around the world.
I'm Steve Potuskin, and on KNX in Los Angeles, we're talking about Disney's roaring profits last quarter thanks to movies like The Lion King.
I'm Tom Busby, and on KMOX in St. Louis, I'll be reporting how the farm sector lifted Missouri's economic growth this past spring.
I'm Caroline Hepker on Bloomberg DAB Digital Radio in London. We're reporting on dueling election pledges from the Tories on visas for healthcare workers and Labour's support for working women.
I'm Courtney Donahoe on KRLD in Dallas. Sears will close another 96 stores, renewing doubts about the chain's future.
And those are some of the stories our 2,700 Bloomberg journalists and analysts are working on this morning around the world. Optimism on a possible U.S.-China trade deal has Treasury yields surging to a 3-month high. Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet reports.
Fresh signs of progress in U.S.-China trade talks help push the 10-year to 1.97%, a level unseen since early August. In Europe, rates on benchmark 10-year French and Belgian securities climb back above 0% for the first time in months, while globally the stock of bonds with sub-zero yields has shrunk to around $12.5 trillion. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Charlie, thanks. This is Bloomberg.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard? or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's another Friday morning, yet another cold day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick to see spectacular coral reefs and white sand beaches. Fly from London Gatwick to Mauritius with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £949 per person. Don't miss out. Book by November the 12th at ba.com/wintersun. With British Airways, incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs, work from home on a Friday jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, Soho jobs, Shoreditch jobs. Keep me away from the central line jobs. Banking jobs, building jobs, never ever boring jobs. Small jobs, big jobs, lunch in Borough Market jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
Cold Friday mornings like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter?
Yes, you, come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords, for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
She did it! Her first word! Listen, everyone. Mama. Oh, she's lovely. Mama. Oh, did you hear that?
Oh.
Savings. Savings account.
Teaching your kids how to save may not be this easy, but you can get them learning good habits and skills from an early age, thanks to the range of children's savings accounts from Yorkshire Building Society. Just another example of real help with real life. Find out more at ybs.co.uk.
London, switch to Vodafone, the UK's best mobile network, and be unlimited, because the best phones deserve the best network and our new unlimited data plans. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone.
Max download speeds apply to unlimited data. Best network as voted by readers of trusted reviews. Terms at vodafone.co.uk/unlimited.
Today, on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
President Trump says a civil settlement over abuses at his charitable foundation was the result of years of politically motivated harassment. A judge ordered the president to pay $2 million to several charities as a fine for misusing his foundation to further political and business interests. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is expected to take a leap into the Democratic presidential race, as Linda Kenyon tells us.
The billionaire who initially ruled out a 2020 run says he's not made a final decision, but he is taking steps toward running, including filing to get on the ballot for Alabama's presidential primary. Alabama has an early filing deadline and is one of the states that votes on Super Tuesday. The former mayor has long flirted with the presidential run, but has never launched a campaign.
What's left of the community of Paradise, California, takes a pause today to mark 1 year since a terrifying fire wiped out some 19,000 homes and businesses and killed 86 people. I'm Jan Johnson.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. The risk-on mood that's permeated global financial markets this week, showing signs of abating. European stocks are falling along with stocks in Asia. U.S. stock index futures are little changed to lower now. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures are down about 2 points. Dow futures down 5. NASDAQ futures down 10. The DAX in Germany's down 0.2%. 10-year Treasury up 2/30 seconds. Yield 1.91%. Yield on the 2-year 1.67%. NYMEX crude oil down 1.6% or 90 cents at $56.25 a barrel. COMEX gold little changed, up 90 cents at $14.6720 an ounce. The euro 1.1037 against the dollar. The British pound 1.2813 and the yen 109.35. And today we are watching for reports on wholesale inventories and consumer sentiment out at 10 o'clock Wall Street time. And that's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Karen, a career State Department official says President Donald Trump wanted to hear 3 words from the Ukraine president: investigations, Biden, and Clinton. That's according to the transcript released of an impeachment inquiry interview with career State Department official George Kent. He says that was his understanding of what it would take to unlock U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Jeff Sessions said he'll run for the Alabama Senate seat that he vacated in 2017 to become President Trump's first U.S. Attorney General. In Thursday Night Football, the Raiders beat the Chargers 26-24. In the NBA, the Celtics won. In the NHL, the Rangers won. The Islanders and Devils lost. The Capitals were winners. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Opinion, informed perspectives, and expert data-driven commentary on breaking news.
It's just before 5:49 on Wall Street, and it is time to check in with Bloomberg Opinion. Columnist Chris Hughes joins us from our London bureau. Chris is writing this morning about the possible record-breaking buyout of Walgreens Boots Alliance. It was certainly a deal that made a lot of news when it was announced earlier this week, Chris, but where does it stand right now?
Hi, Nathan. I mean, just to be clear, there's actually no hard binding deal here just yet. So the news that it was being examined obviously caused a huge amount of excitement just because of the sheer size and ambition of it. But actually going from the planning stage to something that everybody agrees on and can get over the line, well, there's quite a distance between those 2 points.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what it's going to take to get it over the line. I mean, with the kind of valuation that's been discussed here, it's going to take quite a bit of private equity and quite a bit of investors to pull it off, right?
That's right. The numbers here are huge. So, right now, even before you add premium, you're looking at sort of $70 billion. And then if you think that actually the investors in Walgreens are going to want a bit of a top-up on that, you start to get into some really big numbers. So even from the get-go, it's big. When you think about what it needs to take to kind of get it done, it gets really big. But
what we do know is that the markets, the debt markets could be favorable, and there is actually an awful lot of private capital around which could conceivably support something even on this scale. It's easy to write it off from the outset, but I wouldn't be quite so skeptical because, the private capital markets are very deep.
So what is it that the private capital markets see in an acquisition like Walgreens Boots?
Well, I think to make this work, and with some not too racy assumptions, you can see how it kind of could work for private equity. There are two elements. One is the leverage, the debt you put on it, which we've just talked about. But then there's the starting valuation. Now, actually, the valuation of Walgreens on the stock market right now with the current share price is lower than it's been. So you add those two things together, the debt you put on it and the valuation starting point, and even paying a premium, it's possible to make the numbers just stack up. So that raises the question: what is it that the public markets might not be seeing here? What is it that they might be too afraid of? There are a number of things. I mean, obviously, the company could need some kind of restructuring at some stage, and that can lead to some red ink in the numbers and some ups and downs in the results, which stock markets don't really tend to like. And there's obviously just a lot of fear around retail, which is being impacted by Amazon and other kind of disruptive forces, and a lot of doubt about the kind of where the healthcare sector is going. So it may be that the private equity industry here is thinking that those kind of fears have just gone a bit too far and created this opportunity.
And I guess it raises a general question, doesn't it, that with the amount of debt that could be put into a deal like this, just how cheap money is right now. I mean, are we starting to see the return of leveraged buyouts in this environment?
Well, yeah, leverage, the amount of debt that's being put onto buyouts has been going up, and obviously people are concerned about turn in the cost of borrowing, but you stand back, overall the cost of debt financing remains very cheap historically, and if the right proposition comes along, then debt investors will consider it, and will probably consider it in size.
Chris Hughes, Bloomberg opinion columnist. Good to talk with you this morning. Thanks for being with us here from our London bureau. And you can read Chris's column. It's called an $85 billion leveraged buyout. It could be done. And more from Bloomberg Opinion at Bloomberg.com/opinion, or on the terminal, just type OPIN. Go. Karen.
All right, Nathan, thank you. It is 5:53 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg Law Report. We get to the legal stories we're watching this morning with Bloomberg's Joan Doniger.
Democrats are still questioning the structure of Opportunity Zone's tax breaks. Now, the head of the House Ways and Means Committee and the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee have announced an investigation into possible abuses from Treasury officials. A decision in a case the Supreme Court is considering could change the way companies structure their retirement plan committees. The case involves a drop in IBM stock. And both the Justice Department and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau want the Supreme Court to reject a second challenge to the CFPB's leadership structure.
Bloomberg Law. Everything you need, all on one legal research platform, including guidance, analysis, and Bloomberg Market Intelligence. Find out more at BloombergLaw.com.
And now other legal items we're watching. The biggest environmental case of the Supreme Court's term. It involves pollution of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Hawaii. And as justices apparently conflicted over the reach of the Clean Water Act. For more on the case, Bloomberg's June Grasso speaks with Pat Parento, a professor of environmental law at the University of Vermont.
So, Pat, break down the issue for us.
So what's happening is the county of Maui in Hawaii is discharging their sewage waste through an injection well that's within about half a mile of the ocean. And so the wastewater goes down into the ground, through the groundwater, and into the ocean, where it's been causing pretty significant harm to the reef system there, It also has bacteria, of course, in it, which is a potential threat to the swimmers and surfers that use the beach. And they don't have a permit under the Clean Water Act for that kind of discharge. And they argue that because it's going through the groundwater, they're not subject to the permit requirements of the Clean Water Act. The Ninth Circuit, on the other hand, held they were, and that they needed to get a permit and comply with those terms which would protect the ocean waters. And that's the issue that's up before the Supreme Court. This is the first time the Supreme Court has been asked to rule on to what extent are discharges through groundwater regulated under the Clean Water Act.
It seemed from looking at a transcript of the arguments that key justices weren't comfortable with either side's argument.
I think that's right. The County of Maui, supported by the Solicitor General, the Trump administration, is saying that only discharges that are direct from a point source like a pipe into navigable waters are regulated. And when pressed, they even said even if it only goes 2 feet through groundwater before it reaches navigable waters, it's not regulated. And I think it's fair to say a majority of the justices are not buying that argument. On the other hand, I think a majority of the justices are not buying the Ninth Circuit's ruling that anything that is, quote, fairly traceable from the point source to the navigable water is covered. So it seems like various justices are trying to come up with what's called a limiting principle. If we rule that there are some circumstances where discharges through groundwater are covered, what are the circumstances where it's not covered? And particularly Justice Kavanaugh was hammering that point, saying people need to know whether they need a permit or not. And there was a lot of discussion about people with septic systems and homeowners and so forth, and how do they know whether they need a permit or not. So that seems to be where the court is focused. Is there a way to rule that some things are subject to regulation, but many things are not?
And that's University of Vermont law professor Pat Parento speaking with the Bloomberg's June Grasso. Catch more of that interview plus analysis of the latest legal news by subscribing to the Bloomberg Law Podcast or downloading this show at Bloomberg.com/podcast. And attorneys can find exceptional legal research and business development tools at BloombergLaw.com. Futures are a little changed to lower. S&P futures down 2.5 points. Dow futures down 7. NASDAQ futures down 11. 10-year Treasury up 2/32. The yield 1.91%, and the yield on the 2-year 1.67%. And Bloomberg Daybreak continues. This is Bloomberg.
Influential conversations from...
It's another Friday morning. Yet another cold day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick and witness luscious scenery and calming waves. Fly from London Gatwick to St. Lucia with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £739 per person. Don't miss out. Book by November the 12th at ba.com/wintersun. With British Airways, incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Cold Friday mornings like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, you. Come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords, for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
Capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is Bloomberg Radio.
Live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studios, this is Bloomberg Daybreak for Friday, November 8th, 2019. Coming up this hour.
Trade talks remain front and center as the U.S. confirms an agreement to roll back tariffs.
In Europe, there's word that President Trump will not hit automakers with levies.
And Disney shares surge as earnings beat and anticipation runs high for its new streaming service.
More House testimony transcripts claim President Trump called for Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. I'm Michael Barr. More ahead.
I'm John Stashower in sports. All three local hockey teams played. The Rangers won. The Islanders and Devils lost. NFL, the Raiders beat the Chargers.
That's all straight ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak. On Bloomberg 1130 New York, Bloomberg 99.1 Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 106.1 Boston, Bloomberg 960 San Francisco, Sirius XM 119, and around the world on BloombergRadio.com and via the Bloomberg Business app.
Good morning, I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. U.S. futures are slumping into this final trading day of the week. We're coming up to 6:01 on Wall Street, and we check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures are little change now, down 1.5 points. Dow futures are little change. NASDAQ futures down 7.5. The DAX in Germany is down 0.2%. So is the FTSE 100. And the CAC in Paris is down 0.1%. Nikkei 225 in Japan gained 0.25%. And the Hang Seng in Hong Kong down 0.7%. 10-year Treasury up 230 seconds, yield 1.91%. Yield on the 2-year 1.67%. NYMEX crude oil down 1.5% or 88 cents at 56.27 a barrel. COMEX gold is little changed, up 80 cents at 14.6720 an ounce. The euro 1.1032 against the dollar. The yen is at 109.35. Nathan.
And Karen, trade continues to dominate investor focus, and sentiment is mostly positive after yesterday's record close for U.S. stocks. The White House has confirmed an agreement to roll back tariffs in phases as part of any deal. Bloomberg's Dan Tenkate has more from Hong Kong.
They haven't agreed to anything yet, but just the fact that they've agreed that there will be a phased approach and tariff reductions is fairly significant, and it's something that China would need to move forward politically for Xi Jinping.
The negotiations on a Phase 1 deal should be pretty straightforward from here. That's according to Heidi Crabo-Redeker, a fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a lot of twists and turns in this story as we lead up to whatever the date is that the two leaders decide that they're going to actually meet and agree to whatever the Phase 1 deal is. And I do think there will be an agreement on a Phase 1 deal.
And we're also hearing from officials in the Trump administration, including senior White House advisor Kellyanne Conway, who says President Trump is anxious to sign a deal.
At the same time, though, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro warns that the current actual agreement includes no measures to remove tariffs. That's put a damper on sentiment this morning. And here with more is Bloomberg market strategist Mark Cranfield.
Peter Navarro saying that, yes, there's some discussions going on, but the final decision still rests with Donald Trump. So that was taken slightly negatively by markets today. Of course, it could also just be the fact that we're coming into the weekend and people using that as a good excuse just to lighten up a bit. It's not been dramatic, but certainly it did take the shine off of what's been a very strong week.
It's a week that sees Treasury yields soar, with 10-year yields gaining about 30 basis points.
Now, stocks in Asia sold off a bit to close out this week, despite upbeat trade data out of China. Bloomberg's Juliette Sally joins us from Singapore with details. Good morning, Juliette.
Good morning, Nathan and Karen. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index finished marginally lower Friday, yet did manage a fifth weekly gain, its longest winning streak since July. JGBs were set for their worst week since 2013, as Japan's 10-year yield inched towards an exit from negative territory. China's trade surplus was a beat, the onshore yuan on track for a fifth weekly gain, while the offshore yuan remained past 7 to the dollar Friday as the PBOC set the daily fixing midpoint below 7 for the first time since August. In Singapore, I'm Juliette Sally, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Juliette, thank you. The slump in China's auto market shows no signs of slowing. Car sales fell 6% in October. That's the 16th decline in the past 17 months, as China's slowing economy keeps potential buyers out of showrooms.
Meanwhile, in Europe, we're getting word that President Trump will not hit automakers there with tariffs. Bloomberg's Sebastian Salek joins us live from London with details. Good morning, Sebastian.
Good morning, Nathan and Karen. This comes from the European Commission President, Jean-Claude Juncker. He told a German newspaper, quote, "You're talking to a fully informed man." These comments echo, of course, US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross last week. He said Trump may not need to impose auto tariffs after holding good conversations with automakers in the EU. Trump gave himself this deadline of the middle of November to decide whether to impose the levies. The EU had threatened to retaliate with tariffs on $39 billion of American goods if the president carried out his threat. Live in London, I'm Sebastian Salek, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Sebastian, thank you. Turning to earnings now, investors like what they're seeing from Disney. Shares are up 5% in early trading after profit topped estimates. Anticipation is also high for the debut of Disney Plus next week. And Bloomberg's John Tucker joins us live now with more. Good morning, John.
Yeah, good morning, Karen. CEO Bob Iger, who turned Disney into Hollywood's most successful movie studio, is now betting on its family-focused streaming service, Disney Plus, which launches November 12th.
We're enthusiastic about what we saw the consumer reaction to be. We certainly feel good about the product that's going into the marketplace next week, and we'll know a lot more in just a few days.
Disney also reached an agreement to put its new streaming service on Amazon, Samsung, and LG devices, ensuring the company is going to have access to tens of millions of viewers. Now, with the idea of spending money to make money, Disney reported about a 66% drop in quarterly profit to pay for the Netflix-style streaming service. Unlike Netflix, Disney Plus will charge only $7 a month. John Tucker, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, John, thanks. Shares of Gap are lower by 9.5% in early trading after earnings missed estimates. But the real shocker was the retailer firing CEO Art Peck. We get more on that from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
Gap says after a brief transition, Peck will exit the president and CEO role and vacate his post on the retailer's board. Robert Fisher, the company's current non-executive chairman and a member of the founding family, will step in as president and CEO on an interim basis. Peck's termination comes after years of struggles for the apparel company. Peck, a former consultant, tried shaking up leadership and experimenting, but to little effect. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Charlie, thank you. And finally, a programming note. Tune in this morning for an interview with Raphael Bostic. Bloomberg's Michael McKee sits down for a conversation with the Atlanta Fed president at 8:30 a.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg Radio and television. S&P futures are a little change to lower. They're down about 2 points right now, and Dow futures are down 5. Straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news, and this is Bloomberg.
All right, Karen, thank you. It is 6:07 on Wall Street. Let's find out what's going on around the world now with Bloomberg's Michael Barr. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nathan. The latest witness transcript released by impeachment investigators includes testimony that President Trump wanted Ukraine's president to publicly tie Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton to a corruption investigation. Bloomberg's Bob Moon reports.
Trump wanted nothing less, according to State Department official George Kent, than for President Zelensky to go to a microphone and say, investigations, Biden and Clinton. Clinton, he clarified, was shorthand for the 2016 election. Democrat Eric Swalwell says all the testimony fits a pattern.
We have not heard a single witness yet provide testimony that would suggest this was anything other than defense dollars for dirt.
Kent also told investigators that a staffer to then Vice President Joe Biden had rebuffed him in 2015 when he raised concerns about the involvement of Biden's son in a Ukrainian energy firm, explaining that Biden's priority was with his son Beau, who was dying of cancer. Bob Moon, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is once again considering a run for president in 2020 with an advisor saying he is concerned the current Democratic contenders will not defeat President Trump. Mr. Bloomberg has not made a final decision on whether to run, but is expected to file to get on the ballot in Alabama's presidential primary, which has an early filing deadline. Michael Bloomberg is founder and majority owner of Bloomberg LP, the parent of Bloomberg Radio. Jeff Sessions said that he will run for the Alabama Senate seat that he vacated in 2017 to become Attorney General. Sessions spoke on Fox News' Tucker Carlson tonight.
It's not my seat in the Senate, but I believe I have something to give. I have some convictions that I think need to be pushed. We need to get some Republicans moving. They haven't been pushing hard enough to advance the Trump agenda. And so that's what I look forward to doing, and if I think I can contribute to that.
Sessions' entry shakes up the race to defeat Democratic incumbent Doug Jones. A Hong Kong student who suffered a brain injury after falling in a parking garage near a protest earlier this week has died. It could potentially inflame demonstrations this weekend. It's one of the signs that the holiday season is upon us. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree has been cut, and it will soon be installed in front of the ice skating rink. It came from a home in Florida, New York. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Nathan.
All right, Michael, thank you. 6:09 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update. Here's John Stashower.
Nathan, the Islanders were the hottest team in hockey. 10 wins in a row last night, and Brooklyn very much on their way to an 11th win in a row. They led Pittsburgh 3-0 in the third period. The Penguins came back. Scored 3 times in a span of just over 7 minutes, and then Brian Rust unassisted in overtime to win 4-3. Isles pick up a point, but their winning streak is over. Rangers moved over 500, a 4-2 win at Carolina. Henrik Lundqvist wins on back-to-back nights at 35 saves versus Detroit, and they had 45 more last night. The Devils lost in Calgary 5-2. Knicks are in Dallas tonight. It was 10 months ago that Kristaps Porzingis demanded the Knicks trade him. He's helped the Mavs to a 5-2 start. The Nets begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Portland. College hoops, Rutgers opened up its season 2-point win over Bryant. The Yankees have a new pitching coach, Matt Blake, only 33 years old, a one-time Yankee scout, most recently worked with the Indians. He replaces Larry Rothschild, who had the job the past 11 years. Week 10 in the NFL underway. The Raiders scored with a minute left. They beat the Chargers in Oakland 26-24. Sunday, it's the Jets and the Giants. The Jets coach is Adam Gase.
Probably didn't hit me really until I was here for a little bit of 2 teams in the same city, same stadium. You don't appreciate that when you're somewhere else until you're here, and then you kind of realize what kind of this, having 2 teams in the same city in New York, it's different. I can see why there's a rivalry there. It's a cool game to be involved in.
One positive for the 1-7 Jets. They have cleared the air with Jamal Adams, who had been upset. His name was in trade rumors. Adams met with Gase and General Manager Joe Douglas. He says he wants to remain with the team. With the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashower. Nathan?
All right, John, thanks. Tune in this weekend for the Bloomberg Business of Sports show when we speak with the man behind the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia 76ers. You can catch our conversation with Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment President Hugh Weber tonight at 8 and tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Bloomberg Radio. Subscribe to Bloomberg Business of Sports wherever you get your podcasts. S&P futures little change, down just a half point. Dow futures up 5 points now. NASDAQ futures lower by 5 points. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
Startups and research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology are fueling the innovation economy. And few people are better positioned to see what's on the horizon in New Jersey than physicist and state representative Andrew Zwicker.
How technology is transforming our financial sector is revolutionary, and so much of that is in New Jersey. We are innovators when it comes to agriculture, and there is opportunity now for great transformation in how are we going to grow food in an ever-growing population, and how do we turn urban centers into agricultural centers. Autonomous vehicles is another one where we have some of the world's leading experts, and how this will transform how those who are either elderly or are visually impaired or mobilely impaired can start to use autonomous vehicles to transform their lives and have access to transportation they could have never had before.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu/research.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically, yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President and Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
We just got back from a beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. We dropped off our Christmas shopping at the hotel. Then it was off to be spellbound at the Theatre Royal Bath. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn.
First jobs, flexible jobs, work from home on a Friday jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, Soho jobs, Shoreditch jobs. Keep me away from the central line jobs. Banking jobs, building jobs, never ever boring jobs. Small jobs, big jobs, lunch in Borough Market jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
It's another Friday morning. Yet another cold day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick to enjoy a warm Bayesian welcome.
How are you doing? Enjoying the sunshine?
Fly from London Gatwick to Barbados with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £699 per person. Don't miss out. Book by November the 12th at ba.com/wintersun with British Airways. Incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Cold Friday mornings like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, you. Come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords, for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
Here's Taylor Briggs.
C-Trip is the leading online travel agency and the parent of travel sites like Trip.com and Skyscanner. The company provides one-stop travel services such as accommodation and ticket reservations, as well as vacation packages. Despite rapid growth since its start in 1999, the company has seen its shares decline amid tensions like the U.S. trade war and Hong Kong protests. The C-Trip CEO, Jane Sun, spoke to my colleague Bloomberg's Tom McKenzie in Beijing.
Is top-line growth being weighed down by this near-term weakness in the economy?
The Hong Kong-Taiwan situation, yes, it has a negative impact on our top line. But I think these are, one-time kind of thing. So we will see through it and still make a strong investment in the long term.
How would you characterize the impact, the broader impact of the trade war on your business?
I'm very hopeful that the leaders from both countries will have the wisdom to focus on our shared interest. And there are so much things we share together and maximize our shared interest. Only then I think both countries will be benefiting from our collaboration.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow, and Bloomberg Daybreak is out on customer terminals, bringing you all the news you need to start your day. It is brought to you by IBKR and CME Group. The new Micro E-mini futures contracts are available at IBKR at the lowest commissions. Learn more at ibkr.com/CME Mini. Now let's check the latest headlines with Chris Kirkham at the Bloomberg Daybreak desk. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Karen. Investors are watching for signs of movement on trade. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow confirmed an agreement to roll back tariffs in phases as part of any deal with China. Disney is bringing Amazon on board for its streaming service. Disney Plus will appear on Amazon, Samsung and LG devices when it launches next week. Alibaba's Hong Kong IPO is back on. Sources say the company is gearing up for a listing hearing next week and is aiming to raise up to $15 billion. And one of Tesla's most vocal detractors got burned by Elon Musk after short seller David Einhorn lashed out at Musk in a letter to investors. The Tesla chief offered to take him on a tour of its facilities and accompanied the offer with a gift of short shorts. For all the news you need to start your day, check out Daybreak on your mobile phone on the Bloomberg Anywhere app. Karen?
All right, Chris, thank you. S&P futures, that'll change down a point. Dow futures down 2. NASDAQ futures down 8. The DAX in Germany's down 0.1%. And the 10-year Treasury up 2/30 seconds. Yield 1.91%. And that's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Karen, before the impeachment inquiry goes public next week, investigators hope to hear from one more witness today, but that witness will likely be a no-show. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney was asked to testify today as part of the impeachment inquiry. Yesterday, Democrats released more transcripts. Senior State Department official George Kent testified President Trump wanted nothing less than Ukraine President Zelensky to go to the microphone and say investigations are tied to Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. In Thursday night football, the Raiders beat the Chargers 26-24. In the NBA, the Celtics won. In the NHL, the Rangers won. The Islanders and Devils lost. The Capitals were winners. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you. It is now 6:20 on Wall Street, and we're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studios. This is Bloomberg Daybreak. Good morning. I'm John Tucker. Shares of the Walt Disney Company higher after quarterly profit and revenue topped analysts' estimates. Earnings, though, taking a backseat to streaming. And joining us now, Bloomberg Intelligence analyst Geetha Raghunathan. Geetha, good to talk to you again. This quarter is all about the changing landscape for television.
Absolutely, John. Good morning, and thank you for having me. Yeah, it definitely is a streaming-first mentality at the Walt Disney Company. There's a lot of enthusiasm surrounding the Disney Plus launch, which actually comes to market in about 4 or 5 days' time. I mean, this is going to be one of the most affordable streaming services in the marketplace, and it is anchored by world-class brands like Marvel, Pixar, and Lucas. So it's perfect for households with children and generally the broader audience.
Yeah, they have been airing this 30-second promo for Disney Plus, and it's epic, really. It reminds you of all the content that Disney owns. My question to you, Geetha, if content is king, what is distribution?
So distribution is going to be very, very important, and we've seen that with the announcements that came out yesterday. So yesterday was really this epic announcement from Disney about its partnership with Amazon, and there was a lot of bad press recently because there were some disagreements between Disney and Amazon on partnerships, but it looks like they finally ironed out all of those differences. This is huge because Amazon actually has a very, very big share of the streaming device market. It has at least 30-40 million streaming device customers, and so with distribution on both Amazon and Roku, Disney has really cornered a huge share, potentially a very huge share of the streaming market. And then they have all these other deals as well. So we know about the Verizon deal, where Verizon is basically going to give away Disney Plus for free. So the promotions, the discounts, the marketing prowess, everything working in Disney's favor right now.
Geetha, I don't think of Bob Iger, the CEO, as a technology guy. And for that matter, I don't think of Disney as a technology company. Does that matter?
It's very interesting, John, because I think Bob Iger has really staked his legacy on the success of Disney Plus. And if you look at Disney Plus, this has been years in the making right now. So the first move that they made was with the acquisition of BAMTech, which was really the streaming company, the streaming platform, and had all of the technology, and they knew they had to make those investments early in the game. Then they went out and got content with Fox, an $80 billion acquisition. So, there have been many layers to this. They have approached it very, very systematically. And I think this will be make or break. This is a make or break attempt by Iger to reposition his company for growth. But I really think that with all the moves that they made, they're going to hit the ground running.
In the streaming competition for subscribers, do I have to drop Netflix for Disney Plus, or do I subscribe to both?
So we actually, think of streaming really as not a zero-sum game. I think there's ample room for multiple services to survive, to thrive. I think ultimately, though, it does kind of come down a little bit to a two-horse race between between Netflix and Disney, but I think most people will actually end up getting both.
Are they shaking in their boots at Netflix?
I don't think so. Netflix has such a broad swath of content. They're available in so many different countries across the globe. They have a first mover advantage. And while there is going to be some short-term noise, I think, around subscriber numbers, I think over the long term, Netflix definitely wins.
Content doesn't come cheaply, and we saw that if you dig a little deeper into the results that we got, right?
Absolutely. So Disney has told us that there is, for all this long-term gain in subscriptions, there is going to be some near-term pain that investors have to endure when it comes to the bottom line. The good news, however, yesterday, and this is why I think this was one of the reasons why the shares were up a little bit after the close, was because the losses that they had projected, so the actual losses came in much lower than the losses that they had initially projected. That said, there will be continued pressure on the bottom line for at least the next 3 years.
Okay, Geetha, always a pleasure. Appreciate it. Geetha Raghunathan with Bloomberg Intelligence. And a reminder, Bloomberg Business Week, the cover for the November 11th magazine, Don't Mess with Bob Iger, that is. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stock futures aren't doing a lot this morning as investors await more solid information on any U.S.-China trade breakthrough. But the market is at record highs after the Dow yesterday jumped 182 points. Struggling retailer Sears plans to close almost 100 more stores, leaving it with around 180 when it's all said and done. The new owner of Sears and Kmart, called Transform Company, cites a difficult retail environment. The latest stores being closed will have their doors shut by February. The going out of business sales start December 2nd. Shares of Disney are up 5% before the opening bell. The company saw better than expected quarterly results led by the film studio. In that unit, profits soared a remarkable 79% in the latest quarter. Prices may be coming down at the pump soon. Crude oil is slumping, down 1.5% this morning at $56.28 a barrel. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong. Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Why do hedge funds and other...
We just got back from a beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. We dropped off our Christmas shopping at the hotel. Then it was off to be spellbound at the Theatre Royal Bath. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
Just because you travel doesn't mean you can't keep your routine. The more obstacles travel puts between us and our well-being, the more we strive to sleep well. At Westin Hotels and Resorts, we're focused on empowering your well-being. With our Sleep Well menu and lavender balm, you can refuel your body and mind and meet the challenges of the day head-on. Don't leave your well-being behind. We give you the choice to get up or to rise. Search Westin online to find out more. Westin, let's rise.
It's another Friday morning. Yet another cold day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick and enjoy stunning white sand and crystal blue sea. Fly from London Gatwick to the Maldives with British Airways from £300 each way based on a return fare. Don't miss out. Book by November the 12th at ba.com/wintersun with British Airways. Incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs, work from home on a Friday jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, Soho jobs, Shoreditch jobs. Keep me away from the central line jobs. Banking jobs, building jobs, never ever boring jobs. Small jobs, big jobs, lunch in Borough Market jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
Cold Friday mornings like this are cruel. You cough, you splutter, so does your car. Its battery dead, killed by an icy claw. Will anyone stand up to winter? Yes, you. Come to Halfords. We fit new batteries on the spot from just £15, and we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for the cold snap? Ready for anything. Halfords, for life's journeys.
Batteries sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
And at 6:30 on Wall Street, good morning. I'm Karen Moscow.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Bloomberg Daybreak is brought to you by Commonwealth Financial Network. For the 6th straight time, J.D. Power ranks Commonwealth #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms. Visit commonwealth.com to learn more.
We're just about 3 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. U.S. futures and stocks in Europe are lower as the trade war continues to dominate market sentiment. The White House has confirmed an agreement to roll back tariffs in phases as part of any deal with China, but some healthy skepticism remains. We get more from Bloomberg's Dan Tenkate in Hong Kong.
The president has really blown up the talks several times, so until something is signed on the dotted line, it's really hard to say anything is concluded. So that's always a risk until they actually sign this thing.
Senior White House advisor Kellyanne Conway says President Trump is anxious to sign a deal, but trade advisor Peter Navarro warns that the current agreement includes no measure to remove tariffs.
Data out of China show exports declined less than expected in October. Here with details, Bloomberg Daybreak Asia anchor Brian Curtis in Hong Kong.
Exports fell 0.9% from a year earlier, better than the estimate of minus 3.9%. Imports off 6.4%, also better than estimated. China's trade surplus with the United States, $26.42 billion. Now, the improvement may be down to optimism over a partial trade deal with the United States. It should provide relief to companies hit by falling profits and weak global and domestic demand. In Hong Kong, Brian Curtis, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Brian, thank you. Meanwhile, the slump in China's car market shows no signs of slowing. Auto sales fell 6% in October. That's the 16th decline in the past 17 months.
On the earnings front, shares of Disney are up about 5% in early trading after profit topped estimates, and anticipation is also high for the debut of Disney Plus next week. Bloomberg's John Tucker joins us live with that. Good morning, John.
And Nathan, the world's largest entertainment company is betting its future on Disney Plus, its Netflix-style service, which debuts on Tuesday. It's now reached an agreement to put the streaming service on Amazon, Samsung, and LG devices. It's also cheaper than Netflix at $7 a month. Investing in the future isn't cheap, though. Losses in the Disney division that houses streaming totaled $740 million last quarter. John Tucker, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, John, thank you. S&P futures are little change to lower, down a point. Dow futures down a point. NASDAQ futures down 8. The DAX in Germany is down 0.1%. 10-year Treasury up 1/32, yield 1.91%. Yield on the 2-year 1.67%. And the euro 1.1031 against the dollar. Straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news. This is Bloomberg.
All right, Karen, thanks. 6:33 on Wall Street, and Michael Barr is here with more on what's going on around the world. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nathan. The House committees leading the impeachment probe with President Trump released a transcript of a closed-door deposition of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. George Kent told investigators that the message from the White House was clear. Ukraine's new president needed to announce his country would investigate Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell.
We have not yet seen an arrow going in any other direction than that this was a shakedown led by the president of the United States. We have not heard a single witness yet come in and provide testimony that would suggest this was anything other than defense dollars for dirt.
Meanwhile, former National Security Advisor John Bolton did not show up for his House interview yesterday. Democrats say they will use the no-shows as evidence of the president's obstruction of Congress. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is once again considering a run for president in 2020, with an advisor saying he is concerned that the current Democratic contenders will not defeat President Trump. Mr. Bloomberg has not made a final decision on whether to run, but is expected to file to get on the ballot in Alabama's presidential primary, which has an early filing deadline. Michael Bloomberg is founder and majority owner of Bloomberg LP, the parent of Bloomberg Radio. Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced he wants to reclaim his old Senate seat from Alabama, where he's been a conservative icon and dominant vote getter since the 1990s. Sessions on Fox News' Tucker Carlson tonight says he has no regrets about giving up the seat to serve the Trump administration as Attorney General.
I had a great tenure at the Department of Justice in so many different ways, and I don't ever worry about regretting things like that. We were able to serve, be able to push the Trump agenda and do it in an honorable way, and it was actually a great experience.
Sessions' entry shakes up the race to defeat Democratic incumbent Doug Jones. President Trump was ordered by a New York judge to pay $2 million in restitution after he admitted to using his charitable foundation to raise money for political purposes during the 2016 campaign. The order largely resolves a lawsuit filed by the New York Attorney General's office over violations of the state's nonprofit laws. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Nathan?
All right, Michael, thank you. 6:35 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update. Here's John Stashour.
Nathan, all three local hockey teams played last night in a win for the Rangers. After a home win Wednesday, they flew to Raleigh and beat the Hurricanes 4-2. Artemi Panarin, his team-leading eighth goal. Henrik Lundqvist played both ends of the back-to-back.
That's the challenge, too, when you play a back-to-back. You come in, get in bed at around 3 in the morning, and all day is about preparation and get ready for this game. And then it was pretty intense today. Maybe not our best performance, but we battled hard.
They move over 500. The Islanders in Brooklyn saw their 10-game winning streak come to an end despite a 3-0 third-period lead. Pittsburgh rallied to win 4-3 in overtime over Barry Trotz's Isles.
We've held a lot of leads over the last 2 years, but we didn't stay. You have someone down, you got to stay on them, and we got passive, and we didn't. They had a push. They had a push against Boston. They came roaring back. So bad on us.
Devils gave up 4 goals in the second period, lost 5-2 at Calgary. College basketball, Rutgers escaped a 2-point season-opening win over Bryant. DJ LeMahieu named to the Silver Slugger team for offensive prowess. In other Yankee news, they named 33-year-old Matt Blake their new pitching coach, a job that Yankee broadcaster David Cohn reportedly interviewed for. The Raiders are enjoying their last season in Oakland after just 4 wins all of last season. They're 5-4 this year. They scored late. They beat the Chargers 26-24. Rosters named for next month's President's Cup golf in Australia, and among the players picked by U.S. captain Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods. He just won a tournament in Japan. Phil Mickelson not picked, so he will miss a Ryder or President's Cup for the first time since 1992. With the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashour. Nathan?
All right, John, thanks. Trade continues to dominate investor focus, and sentiment is mostly positive after yesterday's record close for U.S. stocks. That optimism seen Treasury yields surge to a 3-month high this week. Here with more on that story is Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
Fresh signs of progress in U.S.-China trade talks help push the 10-year to 1.97%, a level unseen since early August. In Europe, rates on benchmark 10-year French and Belgian securities climb back above 0% for the first time in months, while globally the stock of bonds with sub-zero yields has shrunk to around $12.5 trillion. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, thanks, Charlie. And the surge in yields comes as traders pare back bets on future rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. Fed funds futures currently predict the central bank won't move until late 2020 at the earliest. Bloomberg customers can access the data by typing WIRP-GO on the terminal. It is 6:38 on Wall Street.
The following is an editorial from Bloomberg Opinion.
Vaping among U.S. high school students has risen 135% in just 2 years, and the government deserves more than a little blame. The FDA has dragged its feet on regulation, and lawmakers have resisted taking action. The House now has a chance to put this right. It's about to consider an e-cigarette tax, a policy that's long overdue. It's surprising that the federal government doesn't already tax vaping products. The World Health Organization calls